this is like, wow, this is amazing. I'm just like, I just heard this song. I just had this conversation with dandelions. I just had this conversation with Goddess Isis. I just had this conversation with the tree. And I just made a complete mess up in something else or whatever it is, this human bit, it's like, I just think
Yeah.
it's so important. And that's why the bards are so truth. You don't have to be you don't have to be anything other than truth. And this podcast, the energy of it is very grounded in that.
My voice can't show me the way.
Hello and welcome to Dandelion Stories Becoming the Bard. I am Emily Doe, the Dandelion Bard, and today I am joined by Debra Kilby. I met Debra first time just under a year ago, back at the Power of Us, the very first Power of Us event in Tunbridge Wells, and I been on such a journey since then, since I first live performed one of my songs. I've been out and about singing songs many times since then, and I didn't get a very kind of long chance to talk with Deborah at the time, but I did get a very warm and welcoming, kind of nurturing sense around being in your energy, Deborah. And since then, I have had the pleasure of seeing you a few times online. Particularly in Sarah Lloyd's PR container, which is called the visibility field. And it's just, I mean, it's more just for me, it's more just like a social. I love coming along and just being with all you wonderful ladies and hearing all your stories and all supporting each other, which is so, so important. And, part of doing this podcast is about not only me being more visible as the Dandelion Bard, but also inviting other people to come and get more visible and to practice and be in a soul soothing, soul nourishing chat around just things that light us up, things that really interest us, things that we maybe want to maybe have more confidence around sharing our voice, but maybe don't know quite how and where to do it. And this is just like no agenda really, other than let's just get into this conversation together and explore some of these things. And so when I met you, um, when I saw you recently on the visibility field call, I just knew I wanted to invite you on. So before I tell people about what happened there, I just want to throw it over to you and ask you to just quickly tell people like who you are, what you do, and then we'll get into it.
Okay, gorgeous. Thank you, Emily. It's so lovely to be with you and in your energy again. And I know I really remember that time I met you and I was like, oh my gosh, he's owning it. It really was amazing. Your songs, your performance, you're it was just gorgeous. And then as you said, met in the visibility field. And like you said, people don't, you didn't know what I do except essentially. So anyway, I'm Deborah. Hello everyone, and I am a spirit baby medium. So you have probably heard of life after death, but this is life before life. So I'm very much around working in the energy of life before life. So that is babies and the incredible insights that they have to share for their parents and their mothers, but also for us generally, because they're very new earth babies. They're coming in with very different frequencies. And they're absolutely genius. They are genius, and I love them. So, as well as spirit baby mediumship, I'm a channel. So I channel mostly I'm connected with Divine Mother, actually. So, lots of her representatives, as I call them, the goddesses. And I channel every month a message from Divine Mother or her representatives. And also personal channeled messages as well. For anyone who wants that real deeper pure source. I'd always channel from source. We might connect in with the higher self and everything, but it's pure source, so it's really deep, very layered, incredible, profound messages that come through. I'm also a healer, so I see energy and I hear energy and I feel energy, so I can, read your energy and look at sort of, I'm shown different past lives or just where whatever we're feeling, where the root of it is. I'm all very much about getting to the root of things. So I also teach soul plan. So I train practitioners in soul plan reading. And, we did have a plan before we came along. We chose to be here or were asked to come. And this wasn't an accident by any stretch. We literally choose everything. And it's not like I see soul plan, not like we're stuck in our soul plan. Like, I don't believe we're stuck in our human design or astrology or anything like that. We're here. That's like our guidance of what's going on at a certain level. And then we understand that. And then we expand into the allness of ourselves. And we're all here expanding into the allness of ourselves, one way or another, messily or not. And I'm also an author. So, yes, I'm under the same umbrella, the Unbound Press, a fabulous Unbound Press, where I published my book, Rosa's Choice, Healing the Wounds of the Mother, a journey into the world of spirit baby and how we can build a new earth together. So this is all the behind the scenes of what is going on before, what's happening before we actually arrive. That's us here now, because we were also spirit babies once. And also the babies arriving. It's also about creation and all of the stuff. So I mostly help women, couples on their fertility journey, anyone on their soul journey who wants to know, like, what on earth am I doing here? Why on earth did I choose to come here? What am I supposed to be doing here? What's my motivation? So part of my channeling is to access your planning room, I call it. And I see it like a film, like I watch, it's almost like a 2-hour movie of when you're having that conversation with your guides. Like, I feel like I want to come to earth, or I really, really don't want to come. Why are you encouraging me to go back there? Kind of conversations. And it's their motivations, what we're coming in to heal from previous times, or find resolution to, who we are, just who we are as a soul, this aspect of us that's here in this physical body right now. So lots and lots. It's very magical.
Wow, 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 wow. I mean, can you now understand, guys? I love being in your energy as well, by the way, Deborah. I mean, there's so much in what you've just said that I can kind of go, oh, I'm really interested in that. I'm really interested in that because I've been on a journey myself to discovering more about my human design, and I love the gene keys. And obviously, I understand that, there's this soul purpose and this soul contract, and like we chose to incarnate at this time and come here for, to experience all the shadow, the gifts, like all of it. And so it's something that I'm really just muddling my way through, and being open to having the most magical adventure I can have in this lifetime. And that's kind of quite new for me in many ways, since the dandelions woke me up that morning. And so there's that, which I'm hugely interested in. And then there's the spirit baby work that you do, which is so, like, obviously you've written a whole book about that, and it's a large part of what you're here for. And um I have worked for quite a few years now with children with special educational needs. Um, Previous to becoming an author and becoming the bard, I was a movement therapist, and so I would do education, movement education and nervous system regulation type stuff with children in a SEND school not too far from where I live. And I also worked with other adults with disabilities and things. So um I find that hugely interesting, and I currently do work for a CIC, facilitating what's called multi-family groups, which is bringing children, parents, and the schools together to help children who are struggling with engagement, or they might have school refusal going on. And obviously, often there's going to be neurodivergent kind of underlying issues that are maybe causing the child to not feel safe in that situation or in that setting. And so I love that I'm able to go and be part of that, because for me, providing gentle, nurturing spaces for people to be fully expressed as themselves is really important. And I feel that in many ways there's a similarity or a crossover to what you're describing there with what you're doing, bringing forward these messages and having us understand and be able to really listen to what is being birthed right now through the new babies, the new humans that are coming to the planet for this evolution that we're moving through. And so seeing that, in my work already, seeing that there's these incredibly sensitive, highly intelligent in many ways children who are refusing and rejecting the current educational system, and how can we start to um, give space to that, give voice to that when we're living in these kind of almost oppressive old paradigm structures and systems that are outdated and don't serve us anymore. So yeah, there's that. And then what there is also, which I really want to talk about, is your channeling
I
of
know.
goddess.
Can I first say about the kids, and let's not uh diminish it's a tough human journey for the child, for the parents, and for everyone around, but they're certainly saying no to a system that makes them wrong, and what they're doing is showing that the system is entirely wrong. But telepathy. So I also do telepathic sessions with children who are pre-verbal. So it's often the babies that I've met before they've arrived. They're now here. I'm still friends, in contact with the parents, and the mum's like, I'd love to know what's going on. So we telepathically tune in to their now toddler, or pre-verbal, and they continue to have just incredible insights to share. Like, don't rush me when I'm one little girl I'm thinking of, don't rush me when we're having dinner. There's a mum, she's got to go and do school pickup for her eldest, and she's like, okay, let's listen. She said, this little girl said, we're setting we're setting a scene for when I'm a teenager and when we sit and have our food together. So sit with me for longer, sit with me whilst we're eating. Things like that are so simple and just like, when we're in that rush of a mum. So there's so much work with autists in particular, Veda Austin's work on the water, and they're profound messages, and they are telepathically communicating. So this is another, stretch for some people, but it's completely normal. And actually, spirit babies say telepathy will become normal because
Yeah.
we're just connecting with
I
energy.
I believe too that that is where we're headed, as a human species, because I've met many pre-verbal, non-verbal, some people call, yeah, non-verbal, but I do believe it's pre-verbal, like so many of these children do begin to talk at some point. And I've met many families who are living through that, and it's so interesting to see exactly what you're saying. Often it is about really slowing down. And it's like
Mm,
they're teaching us that we need to slow down, like we're all too fast.
mm,
We've all gotten caught up in the modern pace of life. And actually, I'm really feeling a call to slowing down. And I think that's part and parcel of what this bard life means for me, actually, is like slow down and smell the flowers, like get slow down and actually appreciate your time, because time will run away from you otherwise. Life will go by in the blink of an eye. And actually, I don't want to get to the end of my life and be living in some kind of regret around, well, why didn't I just write that book that I always wanted to write? Or why didn't I sing those songs and spend time doing the things that really bring me bliss in my life? And so that's something that's becoming really obvious to me right now, especially as we move into the fire horse year and there's all this talk about everything speeding up. And it's like, actually, what that's telling me to do is slow myself down. And so, yeah, that's what was coming up for me when you were saying that. But yeah, I agree, it's not easy. And I don't also want to belittle the experiences that these families have because it's hugely painful for a lot of families when especially when the children aren't particularly happy or there's a lot of anxiety with these children and the parents, there's varying degrees, isn't there, of all of this. Often it is parents that are incredibly anxious as well. I know from being a parent myself and finding parenting to be possibly the hardest thing that I have going in my life.
Isn't it just?
So coming around to talking about the channeling, because this is definitely not something that I knew about you. Not I and that's possibly not correct because I did know about you from a story that Natalie Farrell told me about you, about when you first met Natalie. And Natalie Farrell is the cosmic songbird who I worked with on the Paravas last year. And um yeah, she told me that she met you and that you had a message for her. And I won't go into what that was. So she had told me that, and I was like, wow, that's amazing. And then last week or the week before, I think it was a couple of weeks ago now, I was online with you and a whole host of other people, and you channeled a message, or you read a message that you had channeled from Goddess Isis. And I just remember being so activated by that message. Like my whole body reacted. It was visceral, it was physical. Um, I just I remember my chest coming forwards, my mouth opening up, and it was like there was, I don't know, it was like a dragon energy like took over my body, and I was just expelling whatever was no longer needed in my system. And actually, since then, I mean, all sorts of things have happened in the astrology, which has had me feeling much more free to communicate kind of where I'm at in my life, what's going on for me, to show more vulnerability, to show more of my truth. But maybe that activation had something to do with it as well, because I definitely felt very moved by the words that you had channeled. And so I want to ask you about that and maybe tell us a little bit more about that, and then how you discovered that you had this ability.
Yeah, gosh, that message, it was yeah, it was for Nicola Humber, the Unbound Press, who we're both, we've both published through the Unbound Press. And when that came through, it was like, oh my God, that's wild. Because when I'd had a experience with Goddess Isis, and when I first met Nicola, she shared about this not exact same, but similar experience with the silver drops. And I'd already seen that in a meditation. In fact, it's I had recorded it. And so yes, we were like, what is the Unbound, what is the Unbound Press? Who are the women within it? And these channeled messages, they are transmissions, they're coming through me, and no one's a pristine channel. We're all got our own filters, but this was really about the hugeness. We're not just here in a vacuum. We've been walking this walk for many, many, many lifetimes, and we'll continue. Many of us will continue in those lifetimes, but we have a path we're walking. And so that message for the Unbound Press was, it's women's wisdom that had to be hidden for obvious reasons to remain safe. So women's voices, women's wisdom, women's experiences that were held until now. And the container, if you like, the Unbound Press that Nicola opened was to again open to the voices of women. So we're bringing back ancient wisdom, but through our modern, through our here and now experiences. So it just kind of, showed me that we have all been together before. This plan is not just a plan for this lifetime, it's an ongoing plan. It's so huge, blow our minds. But it would it just was this profound, like, oh, just, yeah, oh my God, now my voice is, now my wisdom, not just from this lifetime but ancient wisdom, is being heard because it's safe to be heard.
Oh my goodness. And I'm going to ask you to talk on that a little bit more in a moment. But before you do, the fact that you just said that you'd had this same or similar vision in a meditation to Nicola Humber with the silver drops, like I I listened to that story from Nicola Humber about the women around the lake with the silver drops and them all coming together. And I heard that. And on the way home in the car, I wrote We Sing, which is the first song on my album. And and also during that event at the Power of Us, I wore this gold,
I remember.
like the I wore this like gold
Fabulous.
bikini.
Fabulous.
With like hot pants bikini with this shirt, this sheer shirt that I'd found with these all-seeing eyes all over it. And I had my hair like up with braids and it had just been highlighted like it has been done now. And I had kind of serpent earrings and it was like gold, gold, gold. Everything was gold, and I had like face jewel like jewels on my face. And after we'd finished, I remember Rachel Smithane coming over to me and saying, "Oh my goodness, I was just getting ISIS vibes from you, like so strongly, and like Egyptian, like yeah." And I was like thinking at the time, I didn't really know a lot about goddesses, and I'm like, "Oh, I need to go and look up Isis." So it's interesting that you say like there's that connection between us all. I've written this song called We Sing, which I've now seen as a music video for all of us to come together in the cloaks, and bring ourselves together to do energy work in the sacred sites, and I'm just blown away as well, really, at the synchronicity of it all and the magic of it all, really.
Yeah, there's so much connections, and yeah, definitely goddess Isis vibes. And of course she's all about rebirth, isn't she? So the loss, to bring life back to life. So yeah, that's definitely the books within the Unbound Press, bringing life back to life, bringing truth back to life.
Mm. Yeah, so tell me a little bit more about, yeah, so when I heard you channel Goddess Isis words on that call, I just knew straight away. I was like, I need to bring Deborah. I need to invite her on to becoming the bard, even though you don't identify as a bard, but there was like I just realized like there's room for all sorts of weavers of story in this series of my podcast, and it's all so relevant because bards would go around telling stories of gods and goddesses, like that's what they traditionally really did. um and amongst other things, but that was, it was heroic stories from gods and goddesses, and to kind of really stir our souls and our hearts around the ways that we're living our lives. And so when you channeled that, I was just like, yeah, that like it's obvious that Deborah needs to come and talk with me and share. At first, I thought I want you to share that transmission because that was so powerful. But then since then, we've gone into a discussion around Goddess Bridget. We're in eBook at the moment, and it's Goddess Bridget is very present for me, especially since I discovered that she is the goddess of the bards of poetry. She's the original bard, and I was just blown away when I read that because obviously I've heard of Goddess Bridget and I've I had a little bit of like surface kind of knowledge around that, but it was only when I discovered a book recently and bought a book which was all about Goddess Bridget that I started reading it and I got so excited because there's like a whole huge chapter around Goddess Bridget and the bards and I was like, oh my goodness, this is like, yeah, I want to work more consciously with this goddess and possibly I have been for a very, very long time already, I would say. And so, and then there's something around like the dandelions and the fact that the dandelions are one of the first spring flowers. You know, not they're puffball, they're puffballs representing the moon, but they're yellow bloom representing the sun, you know, the fire energy. And so, yeah, so we had this conversation around what we might discuss today, and you suggested that you would maybe channel something around the bards, and so totally unexpected that you would do that. So I want to invite you to share something about that, and maybe even read what you channeled.
Yeah, of course, because we've heard of the bard, but I hadn't looked into it, or I hadn't connected with it. And it's when I met you, I was like, the bard, okay, what is that? And so I thought I would, like I do, just go straight to source and ask for that highest, purest message on the bard. So I'll just read a little bit of what came through. And you can tell me whether it resonates with what you're aware of the bard. So, okay, so for the bard, my dear, is a bringer of truth, and it is truth that so often gets lost, and yet truth that can so often create the ripples required to see that truth and let it be seen and heard for miles and miles. To capture a story, to capture a truth, is to capture life in a moment or moments of stillness, as it is, with no bells and whistles, just tune and harmony. And then all can hear the signal they wish to hear from the bard who sings it. For the bard's life is simple, the bard's life is true, and the bards are rising because truth is rising, and the bards are celebrations of truth. For the bards to be rising once again means only one thing: the people are ready to listen, not only to the world, but to the essence of themselves, to the truth of who they are in a way that can only be light. For this is the gift of the bard. They speak truth in light, to bring to light that once which may have been hidden or was needed to be hidden in such a way it can only be light, and therefore we can speak truth and see truth and hear truth in a way that is gentler, more palatable than the ego may have us wish. And so for the bards to rise is for truth to rise in each and every person who hears them.
Oh, thank you. That's amazing. And I know, thank you, you've sent me the full transmission and yeah, I'm like for want of a better word and no pun intended, absolutely blown away by it because that thing about it traveling far and wide, miles and miles, like that's the dandelion, first of all.
Yeah,
That's what the dandelions do, you know, their seeds, they can travel so far.
yeah,
And also the oral tradition of sharing through poetry and song, particularly song, because it's the putting the words to melodies, um, and with rhymes, it helps us to remember them. And so they travel and are kept alive in the culture. It's not necessarily the bard that has to bring it, it can be recited and passed on in the oral tradition. So there's that. And then there's this thing that's happening in our world at the moment where we're seeing like the fall of this idea of celebrity status
Mm.
and this idea of uh, people being kind of in power over other people. And obviously, as we're moving or moved into the age of Aquarius, though that is about power to the people, that is not about power over or people being in charge of other people and telling other people how to be or how to live their lives. It's about us for each finding our individual sovereignty and living from our own truth. And I feel that the bards are helping to ignite that awareness in other people through the sharing of our words and having the courage to speak our truth. It kind of giving permission to everybody else to do the same. And that's needed in our world right now.
Yeah.
Um, and also, as I have been on this journey with my own book, my dandelion story, and when you read it you'll understand a little bit more. I've been on my own journey around as I was when I was a child, really wanting to be in the spotlight, really wanting so desperately to be in the theatre or be on the stage or sing, or I would even go as far as like be famous. And as I got older, that there was nothing, I definitely did not want that anymore. And it was like that grappling inside of me of like, well, I want this, but I don't want this element of it. I don't want this aspect of it. And so I repress a lot of my own urges and desires around my songs, singing, because I almost didn't want to be seen. And even now, as I start to kind of create albums, write my books, bring out, songs, sing in ceremony, I'm definitely not doing it because I want fame. I'm definitely not doing it necessarily because I really am even, I'm not doing it for the response or the reaction or the of other people. I'm doing it simply because that's what I'm here to do. It's like I am living my fullest, most blissful, most fully expressed self when I get to sing my songs, write my songs, tell my stories. Um, and it being intimate is really where it's at for me. I love that intimate setting around that. And moving people from my heart to theirs and having that people feeling that movement within them. I used to be a movement therapist. I was saying earlier, I was a movement therapist for many years. And in many ways, I say I'm still in the movement business now, but it's about moving people from their emotions, from their heart space, and how healing that actually is. So yeah, that's my initial reaction to everything that you just said.
Oh, I totally get it. And it's so interesting with that fame thing, because I kind of see it like that feeling is, because that's what we've grown up with. Someone is famous and, but it's the energy behind it. So I feel like your energy behind it is, it's not the fame per se, but it's like, I've got a big mission. I've got something really big to say. And it's just because we've been trained that someone who's got something big to say is the energy of fame, but it's not. It's this deep knowing within, I've got something really big and special to say, and I really want to say that. And it's kind of got confused with the fame thing, but actually it's just about you being you, which is gorgeous. And I think, part of the message that I didn't read out was just about there's so much noise that we forget to feel our own essence, or somebody else's essence, or the energy of a situation or a place or something. And so the more community, the less noise is what we're looking for, and we can hear truth. Truth doesn't need to be loud. You know, if someone is shouting, this is the truth, and can't believe you don't see it, and that's not truth, because it might be their truth, but it's truth doesn't have anything to prove. It just is coming naturally, it's flowing naturally. And so we can, when there's less noise around, like with your songs and you know, your words, it's this truth is not, doesn't need to be loud and have all this noise around it. It just is, and that's what people feel. So as well as the community aspect of it, you know, bringing things smaller, quieter, it's just, we can start to hear our own truth, and your songs bring that truth into it. So it's not to feel bad about wanting to be famous or not wanting to be famous. It's nothing to do with that. It's like what is inside you that wants to be shared. Yeah.
I think there's actually what it comes down to, what it boils down to for me is actually almost a fear around um, having a big following and then having to kind of live up to something when
Mm.
I don't actually know what it is I want to live up to. I'm working it out as I go along. And I am having these conversations on this podcast as part of that discovery process, as part of that curiosity, as part of that learning about myself. And like, where do I take it from here? I'm not really too sure. I'm becoming a bard, but I don't actually know what that means. I don't, I'm letting go of the expectation around what my life has to be. And actually, one of the things that I've been really feeling into a lot lately, and it's part of my own human design slash gene key kind of makeup, is around living in my bliss and knowing that I'm going to be supported and have what I need. And that's not having excess. It's not about having excess because that almost slows me down or makes me heavy, you know, and I don't want to be heavy. I want to be light, like the dandelion seed. I want to be able to kind of flow where I need to flow to in order to live the experience that I'm here to live. And so that kind of resonates as well from that message you channeled there. And um, I it's kind of grappling with that. I mean, it's a theme in my book around success and what that means, and having to redefine what that means for myself, not based on a system that we've been shown, kind of society's shown us or wants to condition us to believe that we have to do certain things. I mean, I'm 46 this year. I don't own my own home. I've never really owned my own home. I haven't really done all the very grown-up things that most people I know my age have done. And I've shamed myself for that for many years. And it's only now that I'm living this truth, and it feels so alternative to what I look around and see other people doing with their life. But actually, I'm loving my life so much. And I think to myself, surely that's what we're here for. Surely that's what we're here to do, is to actually love what we do.
Oh my gosh, completely, completely. And you know, it's quite a journey to get there. I can't remember what I was going to say something on yeah, that holding of, oh my gosh, if I suddenly have loads of followers, you know, I am I rarely talk about my channeling. I've got my own lovely little membership group. There's about 20 gorgeous women in there. And I share my messages in there. And then I might get a little braver and share a snippet on my newsletter to another 40 people. You know, it's like just small. And it feels, you know, that same sense of feeling, well, if more people see it, I have to live up to it. We don't have to live up to anything. And this is, you know, what we're seeing now, you know, current times is the exposure of people who are claiming they know this and this. The gurus, it's the end of the gurus, it's the end of the teachers, it's the you know, it just isn't. And because they're human, you know, whether whatever their hold, you know, they're human. And I think what I'm just hearing for your podcast is that, you know, this is a way of keeping you grounded. This is you, just being you. So it doesn't matter how many followers you have, it will keep you grounded in you. You have nothing to prove. Even if you have like 10 million followers, there it will be because of you, not because of, "Oh, now I've got to be that person," because you're going to be honest, you're going to be authentic. And I think that's where
Yeah.
we're at now. We have our voices for a reason. Our voices are the ripples out into the world. Our our unique frequency is always beaming out into the world, and our voices are just so huge in that. Spirit actually said yesterday, our voice is like a lantern. It literally, draws people to it. Um, so yeah, it's just a nervous system reset, isn't it? And that, as you said, that what is success, and do I have to change because of it? And I feel like your podcast here is a way of keeping you in that space of, "No, I'm just being me, and I've
Yeah.
got I'm not
Yeah.
pretending to be perfect because I share some beautiful songs, um,
No,
and I have this
absolutely.
connection with the earth and this connection with goddess, just none of that. It's just, this is like, wow, this is amazing. I'm just like, I just heard this song, I just had this conversation with dandelions, I just had this conversation with goddess Isis, I just had this conversation with the tree, and I just made a complete mess up in something else, or whatever it is, this human bit, it's like, I just think
Yeah.
it's so important, and that's why the bards are so truth. You don't have to be you don't have to be anything other than truth. And this podcast, the energy of it is very grounded in that. It's,
Yeah.
we're kind of untangling from that energy of fame and what success means and achievement, and you've only worthy and made it, and you're only worthy if you've got the blah blah blah. Yeah, it's totally not that at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so pleased that you got that because it's like I want to have these conversations because this is what interests me. It's what lights me up and gets me all excited about my day. But actually, I've got nothing to sell really, other than my book. And I wrote my book because the dandelions told me to write the book. And I started writing, and through the process of writing, and if when you get round to reading it, or anybody that's read it, will see that I kind of flirt with this idea of being a coach, and it's quite clear to me now, having finished the book, that I could be a coach. I don't want to be a coach. I actually don't want to be a coach. I actually, what I really want to do is connect.
Mm,
I want to
yeah.
connect with people and just have it be that it's not for any productivity, it's not for sales, it's not for money, it's not for any of that stuff. It's because we're human beings and we're here to feel stuff.
Mm,
And that's
yeah.
why I want to do it. For that reason and that reason alone. And authenticity is really, really important, to me. Um, and I was chatting to, and I wanted to say something about my conversation that I had with Anne, who was on the second episode of this podcast. And it's gone out of my head now about why I wanted to mention Anne, and I'm gonna just have a little moment just to reflect back on that, and see if it comes to me, because we were talking, yes, that's it. We were talking about Bridget and the book that I have been reading about Goddess Bridget. And one of the things that struck me really, really intensely, like got me as I read this passage, was this reflection or this contemplation around whether it's important that anybody hears my songs. Is
Interesting.
it just actually the act of creation that is the most important thing? And in some way, is that affecting the field that we live in, the conscious field that we live in? And I found that extremely important for me to ponder on, actually, because I don't do it so that people can necessarily hear it. I do it because I love to do it. The most amount of fun I have is in the creation of it, not in the sharing or the performing of it.
Mm, Yeah, and it's the I mean, you're already having an effect on the field of consciousness purely for being here. We don't need to
Mm.
do anything to have an effect on the field. We're here. We're a piece in, we're a beautiful piece of the massive, massive puzzle. Um, and your joy at, the songs that come through, of course, they're having an effect on the field. And spirit always say, um, there was a big message that came through about social media and just the energy of it right now, and particularly around the spiritual businesses and things, and just being a bit icky. And I was like, I don't know, should I come off social media? And they said, no, don't post for audience, post for signal. It's your signal that is service. So the signal that is the frequency of your voice, of your songs, of your truth that you are sharing, that's your service. And whoever needs to hear that service, like the same with the channeled messages, whoever is meant to hear them, they receive the signal if they wish. Yeah, signal is your service.
Thank you for sharing that, Deborah, because you know what? That's been something that I have been sitting with a little bit from time to time. Is like, I know that I'm going to be living in prosperity when I figure out I'm very much a seeker. I'm always wanting to start new things, do new things, but I get caught in this mind loop sometimes around I've got to figure out how I can be of most service. But actually I can kind of rest a little bit knowing that I'm probably already doing.
You're
It's like I don't have
absolutely.
to keep thinking, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? What's the next thing? It's like just slow down and enjoy being you.
Yeah. And I'm totally there. And it's something that, I need to remind myself of a lot. Um, yes, enjoying being you, again, it's that training. You've got to achieve, you've got to do this, 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 and this. And if you do all this, then you'll get this. It's so patriarchal, it's so upside down. And we're really coming out of that, coming to a different realization of, oh, okay. Yeah.
I love that so much. Thank you. I kind of needed to hear that today. I really did. So thank you because, yeah, sometimes I can get caught in this trap or this misconception that I'm not doing enough.
Mm, yeah.
Like I got to
And
do more.
that one.
What more can I do to help the
Mm,
world? You know, that's my five line in my profile. um, of my human design. And then, I'm so thankful that I discovered human design because it allowed me to really lean into my hermit energy, my two line. And that's
mm,
where all the magic is in the two. And I get to be, I love my own company and what comes out of being in my own company. And then I get to go out and share that with the world. And I've already been invited to share it with so many people and I love that. I love that I'm being invited to go and share, and that I get such um a wonderful response or welcome when I am sharing. And um actually the balance is really good for me right now. I don't think I want to be adding too much into. And it's interesting because I'm obviously just about to launch my book, and by the time this airs, it will be on sale. Um, and like when I'm feeling into what I want to do for the promotions and the launching, everything like that, it's like I actually don't want to do that much, but there's a few things I want to do, and the things that I've come up with feel really authentic to me and where I am right now with the bard life. And it's interesting because none of that stuff's in my book. Like this all came about after I finished writing the book, and so I get to create these beautiful bardic sharing circles and ritual and ceremony and invite people in and have these experiences that I absolutely live for. I feel so at home in those experiences. and do it in honor of the book, which feels really lovely. And I don't necessarily feel that I want to push and exhaust myself, because that's not what I'm here to do. I'm not here to exhaust myself. I want to trust, like you say, that it's going to find its way into the hands of the people that need it, that this podcast is going to do the same thing. It's going to find its way out into the world. It doesn't need to be pushy. It doesn't have to be forceful. It doesn't have to have all the subscribers. And of course, it'd be lovely if people subscribe if they want to, if they're getting something from it, if it's helping them in some way and it's nourishing them in some way. That's the intention behind it.
Yeah.
It means
Yeah.
nothing otherwise, does it? It doesn't
Mm.
mean anything. It's empty
Yeah.
otherwise.
And it's that empty feeling. And we've probably all done, I know I certainly have, is like, right, okay, I've spoken to this business coach and this is what I need to do. And most of the time I haven't done it because I'm like, I don't know. But if I have done it, it's like, oh, it's just not me. And then we can make ourselves wrong for not doing it the way, well, this has worked before. And you can really make yourself wrong because it doesn't appear like, well, I can't do it that way.
Mm,
I must be, I must be rubbish at this, or, we go into that story when actually it just feels, yeah, when it just feels more true, more authentic. And yeah, then the synchronicities
yeah.
begin.
It's reminded me of a story that's in my book, and I bet you I won't be able to find the page now. But I talk about how before all of this happened, I like where I was in my life, and I was at a little bit of a crisis point where um, I'd been trying to do everything alone for such a long time, and I hadn't been investing in myself. I hadn't been getting coaching. I hadn't been doing any personal development really, and I was trying to run my business, but not really getting anywhere with it. Certainly not making enough to make ends meet, and having to do lots of other contracting work on the side to make ends meet. And I went and I spent some money on some business coaching for the first time, and it felt so icky. It felt so icky. It was really masculine in its energy and its approach. It was all about kind of like prioritize and having this to-do list every day and eating frogs and all this stuff. And I was like, what is this? And I tried to mold myself to it for a little while. And I just very quickly got the the sense that I was just another number in their sales funnel, and that they were saying the same thing to everybody. And actually, all they wanted to do was charge me extortionate amounts of money for regurgitated advice that they say to all the same thing to everybody, kind of thing. And so I stopped doing that, and I invested in a different kind of business container, which was much more feminine in its energy. And I learned a lot from that. I learned a lot about working with my cycles, but what I came out at the end of it, having spent a decent amount of money, going, okay, great, but I'm not really further along in my business endeavor. I don't really know what I'm doing here. And it was the start of a kind of breaking down of me realizing that maybe I've been pushing the wrong boulder up the wrong hill for a really long time, and actually maybe this isn't what I'm meant to be doing. And so what I did after that was realize that I needed to integrate my masculine and feminine energy more within myself. And I gave myself a massive permission slip to just stop. It was like, I
Mm,
don't need another productivity hack. What I need is to stop doing everything and be an open channel for divine inspiration to come through. And
mm,
that's exactly what did happen once I gave myself that permission. But that took a massive amount of trust of like, well, how am I going to live? Where am I going to get money from? And it was like, just trust that this is what you have to do. That was clear. And yeah, my creativity has really, really woken up since then. In
yeah.
all the ways that I wasn't expecting. I didn't. I didn't have my sights set on any of this, you know. It's kind of it's happened because I allowed myself to stop and be open and be in that yin state for a while.
Mm. Yeah,
And then writing the book taught me how to integrate the masculine again, because
yeah.
it's you have to be on it, don't you, to write a
You
book?
have to be on it. And the same with my book. I mean, I always used to love to write, and I used to, as a kid, think, oh, I'm going to write a book, but no idea what that was. But I didn't expect I would be writing the book that I actually wrote. And like you, it was, we're going to write a book together. And that was myself and one of my spirit babies, Rosa, who the book is about. Um, and I was like, right, if you could show, we're going to write a book together. Okay, if we're going to write a book, show me the front cover. And that the front cover is the front cover she showed me. Just to,
Wow.
um, and that was that. And there was, you're just going on this, there's just this inner, even though it's difficult, even though it doesn't really make sense, even though it's so scary, even though all of the stuff is going to happen anyway. So you might as well just let go and just go with and just go with it. Yeah. And
I
that
feel
then
like
ripples out in the world.
I feel like that is such a beautiful message for like first of all bringing this conversation to a close because it kind of ties everything together, you know, that message that you channeled where it was about listening to ourselves and
Mm.
really knowing that we can be the authority in our own lives. We don't have to do it the way that everybody else has done it, and we can trust our intuition. Um, and that we don't have to have it all figured out right away because nobody knows where we're headed, you know, ever. You know, and if you tune into the astrology like I do, it's even more like, oh my goodness, what's going on out there? But actually, it's the same as any time, you know, there's no certainty. And, you know, really tuning into your heart, tuning into your gut, which is for me like feminine, masculine energies anyway. And like you know that action orientation and that courage comes from the gut, and so they have to be in alignment for you to make decisions and change the way you're living intentionally if you want to change the way you're living. And I do feel that there's a many people out there that whether they've voiced it out loud or not are living in a way where they feel like there's something there's something niggling, like I'd love to do something, but I'm not quite confident enough to say it out loud, or I'm not quite confident enough to put one foot in front of the other and walk my way towards it because there is this culture around having it all figured out, knowing the plan, and life's not like that. Life's just not
No,
like that.
it's really not. And just to close from a message from Spirit Baby, I have a lot of future mums coming to see me, and they've been on a very long, very challenging, is this, I don't know if it's going to happen, a lot of what ifs, do I even want to be a mum, blah, blah, blah. And Spirit Baby just say, take a breath. What is your simple truth? And they guide the energy of simple truth, that you're not in the what ifs. What if it does? What if it doesn't? What is your simple truth? Do you wish to be a mum, or do you not wish to be a mum? What's your simple truth? And the simple truth, their body, you can see their body just relaxes when they give themselves permission to, okay, I don't know. I don't know if this is going to happen. I don't know if this is me, but my simple truth is I would love it to happen. So it's just coming back to our simple truth. What's my simple truth? As in your heart's truth. And it's not how or what, or it's just, what's my simple truth? My simple truth is I'd love for this. I'd love for this to happen. I'd love to experience this. And not to put any meaning on that. It's just, that's my simple truth. And you honor that, you honor your simple truth. So it just reminded me of that message.
Thank you. It's such an important message, and it really is something that I feel very called to share as a bard, you know, like how can we honor and listen, really, really listen to ourselves and give ourselves that chance to soften and rest and be open to receiving whatever it is that feels true for us. And so tell us, Debra, how, if people are interested in finding more about your work with the spirit babies and or any other of the other wonderful things that you do, where should they come to find you?
So my website is debrakilby.com. So it's Debra, that debrakilby.com. I'm on Instagram under Debra Kilby Healing and Channeling, and Facebook under Debra Kilby Healing and Channeling. And yeah, I love when there is connection as well. Just, yeah, get in touch, share. We'll see. We'll just, yeah, I like just to connect. So yeah, take a look in those places. I'm not completely out there and like blah blah blah, but I hope that the essence of Emily and myself, we're just doing it because we're here to do it. That's it.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I'm definitely not a blah, blah, blah person. It's funny, somebody who came to my singing circle recently said, "You're not fluffy, are you?" I was like, I don't know what that means, but I'm going to take it as a compliment. Yeah, I really don't. I still don't know what that means, but I definitely take it as a compliment. And yeah, like I just hope that people feel that from our conversation today and from all of the conversations that I have on this podcast, that just turning up and being ourselves and doing the best that we can in every moment is enough. And that goes for everybody else listening as well.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye, Debra.
Take care. Bye.
My voice can't show me the way.